some things that you can look for when you want to buy some furniture that is of a higher quality? Well, thanks to our viewers' comment, we are going to answer that question in this video. One of the first things to think about and kind of take a look at is that you want to find a piece of furniture that is of a sturdy framework. And so what this means, if it's made out of wood, ideally it's nice if you can look for kiln-dried hardwood type of wood that is inside the framing or the construction of a piece of furniture. And kiln-dried wood just means that the wood is placed in an oven that dries out the wood, reduces the amount of moisture that is in that wood. And having the wood dried in this sort of process helps it to be more durable and stable, more pest-free, and it accepts finishes better. And when we're talking about hardwood, we are referring to wood from trees that are deciduous, so the trees that lose their leaves in the winter. So examples of hardwood would be something that's made out of walnut or maple, cherry or oak. The other type of wood that may be not as stable would be those softwoods, and those are woods that are from an evergreen type of trees, so different types of pine trees. So when you are looking at a piece of furniture, find out the details and the description of what type of wood is being used for the framework of that piece of furniture. And if you're not able to identify it just by looking at it, look at the description or the details and look for something that is made out of hardwood style of wood that is kiln dried instead of something made out of particle board or out of a softwood. Then the other thing to take notice of and find out about with a piece of furniture is how all those pieces are joined together. And ideally, higher quality furniture will have joinery such as Dovetail joinery or Mortise and Tenon, or if it's a table or even a chair, what would be called a corner block in the different corners, because all of those different ways of joining those different pieces of wood together help to provide a really stable framework for that piece of furniture. A less expensive way that some furniture is joined together is just with staples. But when we want to find something that's a little higher quality, we really want to look for something that has a higher quality type of joinery. And dovetail joinery is where there are wedge-shaped projections called tails on one piece of wood that interlock with corresponding pins on another piece, forming strong gluable joint. The shape of the joint resists pulling apart and provides a lot of strength without nails or screws. The tails and pins look like the shape of dovetails, so that's why it's called dovetail joinery. And the craftsman who makes this type of joinery has to be very skilled at what they do, because this is a very detailed and precise way of joining two pieces of wood together. And we will find this most commonly in a piece of furniture that has a high quality to it in the drawers, where the corners of a drawer are joined together. Many times you'll find this type of joinery. And this type of joinery can also be used as a very decorative treatment to a very fine quality, handcrafted, designed piece of furniture. And with mortise and tenon, all this means is that the mortise is the hole or cavity, whereas the tenon is the projecting piece on the other piece of wood, where those two pieces of wood are joined together and they fit snugly together. And this is a more stable way of joining pieces of wood together compared to a doweled sort of joinery. And lots of times we'll find this type of joinery in tables, chairs, and bed frames. Maybe the legs of a table are attached to the apron in this sort of fashion, or in chair frames where the backrest and seat are joined. And with beds, the posts may be connected to the headboards or footboards with this type of joinery. And to provide stability at corners, look for things like corner blocks or braces or other types of metal reinforcements. When you're looking for, say, a new table, look underneath that table and see what is in the corners to help provide some stability so that table isn't wobbly. And then the other thing to take notice of is weight. And so the heavier the furniture is compared to another piece of furniture of a similar design, well, most likely that's going to be of a higher quality. We can look at furniture that may feel light or unstable is probably using cheap materials, or there may be gaps or wobbliness if you press on that furniture or move it a little bit. And that could be maybe where the corners are joined together. And this is important when we are looking at tables, desks, or chairs. Then another thing that you can take notice of is the finish that is on the piece of furniture. And ideally, a finish should be nice and smooth and even. Something that is hand applied instead of sprayed on. And you don't want to find any drips or uneven staining or even bubbling of paint. And you may find some furniture has a veneer on it, which is a way to provide a really beautiful pattern and to highlight a really beautiful grain. In addition to looking at the veneer and noticing if the stain or anything else that's applied on top of that beautiful veneer is even and smooth. You'll also want to find out what is underneath that veneer. It will be ideally in a solid piece of wood or some sort of heavy-duty furniture board, just to provide some stability. And with a piece of furniture, say like a shelf, there may be a backboard, and you'll want to find out if you want to buy something that's of higher quality, looking for something that's not made with cardboard, that the panel is made with solid wood or plywood. And even sometimes on pieces of furniture where maybe those panels are hidden, this could be on a sofa. And so you would want to find out if there is a panel maybe on the front part of the sofa or even on the back, and is that made in a sturdy material, or is it made in a more lightweight, less expensive type of material like cardboard. And with anything like drawers, we want to make sure that those drawers operate smoothly and are easily opened and closed. When you are shopping for furniture in person, make sure you take time to look at it from all different angles, even in the back and underneath. Get a sense if that piece of furniture looks and feels light or heavy to you, stable or wobbly. If it has drawers, open and close those drawers. Also, look and feel the finish. So place your hand and run your hand along the finish. Does it feel smooth and even, and does it look really beautiful? Take some time to read the details about what type of material was used to create this piece of furniture. And looking at all of those details, you'll be able to know if this piece of furniture is of a higher quality. So let me know if you have any questions about this topic. And if there is a specific piece of furniture that you would like me to look at and talk about in more detail. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time when we discover more neat things about interior design. Take care.